Hello, everyone. Welcome to the last day of our week-long web summit, Social Action for Climate Change. And today we're talking on goal number 12, which is responsible consumption. It's been quite an incredible ride the past week, and we had amazing speakers, and I'm just so excited about this one as well. So I'm really happy to be able to introduce you the team working with Revival Earth. So we have Yaira David Agbofach. Hi, Yaira. So Yaira launched in 2018 the Revival, and it's a community youth-led sustainable design initiative. And they're basically allowing people to do art and creating jobs by working with textile waste and upcycling this textile waste in Ghana. And together with Yaira, we have also Sara Ali, who is the culture and sustainability advisor for Africa. And I think she can give us also a lot of good insight and ask good questions about the topic. So first of all, welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm more than excited to be part of this, to actually share with everybody. And it's a beautiful morning here in Ghana. So
beautiful. Sara, do you want to add something? I think Sara is muted at the moment.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm just saying thank you for having me. This is such an amazing opportunity, and I'm a big fan of Yaira, so this is really exciting.
Thank you for being here.
Of course.
So, as a little introduction, I met Yaira last year in Berlin. Basically by chance. He was visiting the city, working on some projects, and he started talking about his project, about Revival, and it really impressed me a lot, because when I was studying filmmaking, I was working with a colleague that was doing a film on textile waste in Africa, and she really went through the research of the whole process, and this film really deeply moved me when I saw how much the things that we sometimes consider being good and charitable are actually destroying a whole continent's textile production, which was a very strong branch and a very strong local industry. So when I heard about Yaira's project, I was really happy that someone is doing this, and in a way, kind of turning the whole thing upside down, doing like a Robin Hood move, as I see it. So I would love for you, Yaira, to explain a bit to the audience, what is Revival and what is it about? How do you do it? How did you come to the idea?
Okay, thanks Anna. Yes, it's an interesting story, how we met and everything, which we now see results. So Revival, I started Revival. I'm one of the founders of Revival, and started Revival in 2018 as a result of curiosity and also trying to find a way to play a role in making things right, which is one of the main problems that as a collective we saw, was that there was so much waste being derived from textile, and we thought that as a mandate, or as a citizen of this planet, we need to always find ways to create sustainable solutions to problems. So what we decided to do is to create an opportunity by using design to create jobs, and also to create art with this global textile waste that comes into Ghana by way of second-hand clothing and by way of charity and the like. So over the past years, there's been so much waste that is being brought into the country. There's so much textile clothing that is being second-hand textile clothing that is being imported into our country and other parts of West Africa. And it keeps every single time, like about 40,000 tons of clothes. It's monthly shipped into the country, and also there is this. We have one of the biggest secondhand markets in West Africa, which is called the Kantamanto market, and this market circulates about 1.5 million items of clothes on a weekly basis. So you can imagine the level of clothes population that happens in Ghana only, and out of this numbers, about 50% are not, becomes waste, because based on a lot of reasons, it's torn. There are cigarette burns. It has stains in them, and nobody wants to buy them. So about 40 or 50% is being bought. The remaining becomes waste. One major element of them is leather, which is non-functional here in Ghana. Like leather jackets, winter jackets, shipped here into Ghana. Ghana is hot throughout the year, so we don't need them. And these things come and then they straight into, it's waste, literally waste. And we don't have the right way to dispose of clothes. Actually, one of the questions I ask, mostly when I interact with people is does the word waste exist when it comes to fashion? Does the word waste exist? If it exists, how do we tackle that waste? Because it's non-degradable. How do we tackle it? Is there a way to actually deal with fashion waste? Various interactions, various research, I haven't found any sustainable way of actually tackling those waste. And we saw upcycling opportunity because I had, with my self-taught design background and my love for passion for it, I decided to channel that into upcycling these things, making them into new outfits that can go back into the market. Because clothing, the way it is, the material that clothing, we need to create like a circular economy around clothing. So it doesn't, there is no end to it. It goes to the other. So we redesign these things into outfits that people could wear. But not only that, we also use it for art stuff, art items. So it could be wall hangings, it could be book covers and the likes. And also seeing this as an opportunity to use this to solve problems in other sectors, because it's not only about what you were ready to work, all of that, but it's also about using this solution to solve other problems in other sectors. One major is agriculture. We are upcycling things to provide, to solve a problem in agriculture, which is mainly protective gear, because I've been visiting farms and realized that there's a lot of farmers who who farm with inadequate gear. So like pineapple farm, I see a lot of bruises on the palms or on the skins of pineapple farmers. It's because the pines always, they get injuries from the pines. So we based on that finding, we are using clothing to solve that problem, because the solution to that is to have them wear the right protective gear or farming gear. That's as simple as that. So we are using material, and for that we're using denim, because denim is strong to handle the pines and to protect their skin. So we're using denim to create uniforms or farming gears for farmers. We're also looking into in the near future, looking into bee farming, looking into places that need them. Also going into different sectors like oil and gas, like the medical sector and all of that, and others. Basically, this is mainly to have a solution that cuts across, and also to create demand for it, because in as much as we are producing, we're upcycling, and that we need to create a demand for it, so that there is that circle, there's that circle created around it. Because if we create and there's no demand, then it's left there in storage. We will not be able to continue because we might get overwhelmed, might get storage might be full or something. But if there is demand, then we're able to keep going. Where other people are able to join it into the idea or the concept or the initiative to actually reach a higher numbers. And we thought the idea of this is not an individual objective. It's supposed to be done collectively because this is a global issue. So I work with various creatives here that find themselves in the fashion sector, that find themselves in the I call them stakeholders in the circulation of clothing. So talking about designers here, talking about I'll go deep. I'll explain how I deal with all these people. I'm just listing the people that we work with. Talking about the people in the market, because the sellers, the people who sell, also going into the wholesalers, the wholesalers, into the importers of these second-hand clothing, fashion school students, because they're also very key in this. And then also artists, like graffiti artists, painters, and the likes. Yes, so with the designers, what we're doing with the designers is we're in two ways. We're teaching them or creating awareness on how they could create their things sustainably, how they could produce sustainably. Because I visited I have friends who are designers, and when I visit them, they have so much waste from excess cutting and a lot of things that brings about this waste. And they told them, I asked them, what are you going to do with this waste? And they're like, I'll just throw them away. I'm like, what? So they have no idea. A lot of them have no idea of how to deal with these things. So bringing them on board is going to equip them with how they're going to deal with it, which is now they'll cut consciously, they'll be able to produce consciously. And when there's even waste, there is a way to handle that waste. So it doesn't end up in the landfill, it doesn't end up, polluting our water bodies. Also with the fashion students, they are the upcoming, designers. And one of the tools they will need is to have in-depth knowledge about sustainability, about how they can tackle, they have a 360 idea of how to operate when they graduate from school. And this is a very important aspect of it. So I bring them into most of the design process to evolve. So whilst they are learning, they are also helping us to produce with the, because I checked into the curriculum of the fashion school, and that it's not tackled in depth. So I want to give them an opportunity. I see that as an opportunity to actually enlighten them and also give them that in-depth knowledge practically, because a lot of these fashion schools, most of them want to sustainability to just brief theory aspect of it, but I'm tackling the practical aspect, because that is what is going to stay. That is what people are going to realize, that wow, this is actually what I'm doing. This is the impact that I'll be able to achieve. And then also to the women in the market. These women are the ones who sell the clothes, and when they are able to sell the ones that people buy, the rest is trash. So they decide what goes into the landfill or what goes into the trash, and then what is sold. So giving them, and these are through like workshops, through awareness campaigns that we do in the market. We literally go to the market, speak to them, and we use, and since the market has over 30,000 sellers, 30,000, and its majority are women. So this is a huge number, and so based on our capacity, we don't have the capacity to reach out to everybody. So we use, like they're a governing body, so we use their leaders to actually push the information out there. We use their leaders, and also use preachers. These are like preachers. There are people who always preach in the market every morning or every day. And these are very influential people because of the religion, because they are tackling religion, and a lot of people in the market pay attention to them. So we use them as a way of content, as a way of pushing our information out there by telling him, look, today, the sermon, what you're going to preach about, I want you to preach about fashion waste and its replication when you throw them away, what you can throw away and what you don't have to throw away. Tell them that we at the Revival are here. If you want to throw anything away, let us know. You can go to the office, our details are there, or leave it to the office and leave it at a certain place. So we're trying to get like a storage section in the market, get a space where where anybody that has waste and doesn't know what to do with them would take it there and then collect them. Also on the other side, teaching them the idea that they can make more profits, because the problem they have here now, and it's growing a lot, that these market women are making a lot of losses. It's because when they buy the bills, these things come in bills. When they buy them, they buy them for about, let's say, some cost between $150 to about $300, and they are not being able to sell to match up to the cost price of how much they bought it. Now they end up making loss, or sometimes it's difficult to even break in. So there is no profit, and sometimes they even end up making losses. So
this is a lot of responsibility,
using that,
not Yara. It's
yes,
absolutely, it's such
a
I mean, I'm listening to you and it's absolutely remarkable and inspiring. But what you're talking about, you're not just a designer, not that being a designer is not enough, but you're doing the job of a buyer, a merchandiser, you're dealing with climate change, feminism, economic disproportion. I mean, I work with designers and I talk about that waste is a design flaw, essentially, because if you're designing and you're making waste, this is the responsibility of the institutions that are giving these designer certificates. They're not, why do you think that you are doing the work of these? Because we know in Africa, there's being a dressmaker and being a designer, right? So for you to unify these two so beautifully, I feel very protective over all that you're doing, because you're carrying the responsibility and the burden that should be shared by institutions and government to help you do what you're doing, so you get to be an artist. And it's amazing. It's amazing that you're making such beautiful pieces, and I look forward to seeing them. But I have a really basic question for you. Why is this waste ending up in Ghana? Why Ghana? Because for the last 3 years, I've been doing a lot of research into colonial waste, and it keeps coming back to Ghana. So why is it, how is it ending up in Ghana?
Okay, so a lot of these clothes are charity donated clothes with brands like the Oxfam and the others. So people just drop these clothes in Europe and America and in Asia. These are unwanted clothes, and they donate it to these companies that take these donated clothes and bring them to Africa with a obvious mission to give to charity here, those who don't have clothes and stuff here in Africa. But the reality of it is a lot of these donations are not something that, and a lot of the majority of them are not something that we that Africans want to buy because of its condition, because of its functionality here. So these things come with no reason, or with no without purpose that is going to serve. So it comes here and then it's just literally waste. So it's literally waste coming from Europe, America, and Asia, and straight into Ghana and other parts of West Africa, and then straight into waste. It's like throwing these clothes to Africa as a waste dump. Which
so who is approving this for it to end up in Ghana? Is this a government level problem? Is this how is it ending up in Ghana?
So in the 90s, in 1997, I remember correctly, there was a ban on secondhand clothing, and it's actually still active, but it's not enforced. And that ban was supposed to prevent these importation of these clothes, but there's so much behind things that is happening that it still comes. It's not, that law is not enforced, and over centuries this clothing has been coming. Now, the reason why Ghana is part of the list is because we have decided to accept, the government has decided to accept clothes that are coming. It's a decision. It's a decision we make to accept them, and those policymakers are not. I don't think those policymakers know the repercussions of these things that are coming into the country. Probably they might think, oh yes, it's coming, and people are getting cheap clothing to buy and stuff. But I think looking at the negative part of it, it's been very high in terms of even breaking. It's actually broken the local textile industry here in Ghana. We used to have we used to have industries. We used to make our own prints, but now I can boast about just two factories that are still surviving. The rest are gone because local patronizing of local textile has gone down, because there is an option for people to get cheaper clothing and to buy multiple times because it's cheap. Now,
I have a question about this, if I can interrupt you shortly.
Sure.
I do understand this process. At the same time, from the research that I saw, it's really obvious, even from someone coming from the outside, that this huge amounts of waste are destroying the existing textile industry in Africa.
Yep.
So how come that the government, I mean, I don't know if there is some, but is there any initiatives actually that are trying to regulate this and protect the local production?
So there is, to my knowledge, there is no, apart from the ban being put on secondhand clothes in the 90s, that hasn't been enforced. Obviously, we're still having tons and tons of clothes imported. I don't see from my side, I don't see any policy that the government is doing. Recently, there was one influential or one person in a top position in the country resurfaced the conversation, but nothing has been done about it. And to me, that has been one of my main worries. But I also didn't see that as a reason for me not to do anything about it. That I decided, as a young creative person, I needed to do something about it in my own small way. That is how come Revival
it's not small,
started.
this is absolutely
because I think
phenomenal. Absolutely. And just to sort of extend upon what you're saying, Yara, I have dealt with this at government level, in that I've written to the government, from the Ministry of Culture to Agriculture to the waste. I'm afraid to confirm that the conversations do start and there is some kind of rapport, but then the emails, they stop. And, Ghana is known to the world. Last year you had the Year of Return. It was a great tourist attractor, a great campaign that lifted Ghana and the dignity of the Ghanaian brand. But I'm concerned about the average man, because the rest of the world sees Ghana, they associate it with the Kente cloth and all the beauty of Ghana. But, even the secondhand market, I mean, I'm talking to you from London. It's, I live in a kind of area where you go to a secondhand shop and you pick up vintage pieces, and it's an elite experience. It's a beautiful vintage find, and I feel like I'm doing well by giving to charity. And it pains me as an African, I'm originally from Sudan, to know that, for example, in Sudan, I don't know how it is in Ghana, there is superstition attached to wearing clothes that you don't know where they've come from. And I know that from the documentary, that the dead white man's clothes, as an African, sometimes you don't want to touch it. Like you just, you know, out of superstition, you don't know where it's come from. And it's just, it's a shame that, you know, the Year of Return was a great campaign. It showed the beauty of Ghana, but yet it was not on the tourist route, shall we say. Yeah. It didn't make the headlines. And I'm extremely protective and passionate about taking this as far as it goes, for this not to be on your shoulders to carry. So you get to be an artist and a designer like everybody else. You know, you're talking almost at presidential level now, when, you know, you're taking on the concerns of your community, your fellow brothers and sisters, the waste in the water, the fishermen, some people are taking those piles of textiles as shelter through COVID, and they're dealing with cholera, they're dealing with malaria, it's all of these things. You're making something beautiful out of it, and I highly commend you. But I feel that the international community, we need to give this the microphone that you're holding today, and lift you and help you and salute you really for something that's quite remarkable, that I believe should be the duty of NGOs, of ministries of culture, Ministry of Agriculture, the institutions that are actually certifying these designers, because there's being a designer and then there's being a responsible designer. And we're talking about, you know, Code 9 of the United Nations Sustainability Goals. It's a shame that with these certificates, that these students are not learning what is actually intuitive in your bloodstream.
I completely agree with you, Sarah. At the same time, during this whole week, we had examples of incredible businesses that are changing things on the ground. And I think while we have in the countries that we live in systems that might be better or worse, more or less democratic, more or less corrupt, more or less sensitive to the questions of sustainability and responsible production and consumption, we should not rely on this solely, and we should actually really praise the people that are taking the effort and leading their businesses and their initiatives in the right way, because from there on, we as individuals get to create the change that then hopefully will reflect on the government level. So I think these two things should be tackled at the same time.
Yes.
And although I mean, it would be great if an artist could just be an artist, but at the end of the day, when you think about, whatever you do, if you design clothes or if you create films, I want the films that I create to matter. I want them to, if you're making something as an art and it doesn't make anyone uncomfortable, it doesn't make anyone think, what am I doing and how am I living, then maybe it's not, doesn't have the purpose that I would like to fulfill with my art. So I think this is what Yaida is doing, because when I think about his clothes, I don't think just about, the nice piece of clothes that I might be able to wear or purchase. I'm thinking about all the pieces of clothes that we're taking here in Europe or wherever around the world and donating for a charitable cause. But by donating it, actually creating a whole chain of unethical profit.
Yeah, but I think, I mean, if I may add 2 cents.
Of course.
Totally agree with the point about art. And I think it's also a social narrative of framing. And I think Yara will agree with this. I think every kind of action you take, whether it's, you know, being an artist, being a filmmaker, being a businessman, it's all action oriented, right? Like you're doing something to demonstrate to people that come along and get involved with this form of action. So I think when we reframe it in that way, it makes it a more inclusive conversation. And I think, I don't know what you think, Yara, but I think that's what's also disconnected, right? Like people aren't able to see the action in art or the action in film or the action in advocacy for what you do or what Sarah does. It's all an invitation to people to come and say, rethink what you do as well.
Yes, I agree. I mean, because it's not only, I mean, we're all part of this. Everybody that wears clothes, or has a relation into clothing is part of this. It's not only about me or Sarah or people who are championing this initiative by different ways or forms. It's about, because it starts from, you know, the producer to the consumer like there's a whole chain to it. So everybody is involved. So it's very, very important for everybody to be in tune, because without us becoming together, everyone playing their role in this economy of clothing, we will not be able to achieve it. Yes, I could do some, you know, level or to some extent. I could create awareness. I could, you know, produce, but this is on a global scale. So everybody needs to be involved.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I always find that Africa gets left out of a lot of sustainability conversations. Like, I go to a lot of conferences, I sit in on a lot of lectures at different universities. Everywhere I try and have an opportunity, you know, conversations like these, I'm usually, you know, listening in. I'm trying to learn. How can we have this as a core part of the narrative about sustainability? Because African sustainability looks different from Africa. You know, when you talk about sustainability from the United States or from Europe, there's this sense of saving Africa, which is, I imagine, frustrating for you. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but actually the world can learn from Africa about sustainability, and as we are learning from you, how do you see, how can we put Africa in the middle, at the core of this conversation, so the world pays attention?
Okay, so it's obvious and it's straightforward. Like the whole world, whatever happens in Europe, your consumption habit directly affects Africa. How the level of consumption in America, the level of consumption in Europe, the level of consumption in other continents, it directly affects Africa, because when you are tired of wearing it, it comes to Africa. So in this case, we are the ones that are hugely affected with this, because we take the trash, and it's sad. It's sad. If you come to Ghana, like I'll go back to Sarah saying last year was an amazing year in terms of tourism for Ghana, and we had a year of return. We had over 8 million people visiting Ghana last year. Wow. We made so much revenue. The government made so much revenue. We had all the celebrities that you would find, most of them here in Ghana. Now, but the sad thing is we don't have clean beaches. The beach in Accra, which is the capital, it's sad. Now we're in the rainy season, and when you go to the beach now, you'd see clothes, you'd see underwear, you see shoes, different brands, and they're all in the ocean going in and out. You wouldn't have a place to swim, which is sad. You have to drive about 3 or 4 hours to get a clean beach, even that when you're lucky to swim. And that is as a result of overconsumption in these continents. I wouldn't take Africa out, because yes, definitely when these comes, we are given the options to keep buying and buying and buying. But this is as a result of the excess consumption, way too unnecessary consumption that by people in these other continents. And when they are tired of it, you wear a t-shirt once, twice, you put it that, oh, I'll donate it to somebody in Africa. And then it comes here, and when it comes here, we also might not need it, like leather jacket. Why would you send leather jackets to Africa?
Exactly.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
It doesn't make absolute sense. But for us, for that is, but I saw it as a problem, but then a problem that, you know, gives me an opportunity to create a sustainable solution to it. Yeah. So with a leather jacket, so what we're doing here in Africa, and what the initiative is about, is to let this spread across. Yeah. And for us in Africa, because you know, politics, the government is not willing to do anything about it, to ban it. I mean, Rwanda has done it. The Kenya is doing it if they haven't done it yet. If the other countries don't want to do it, we as a youth, we as young creatives should take the mandate to actually move the needle by creating solutions, because I wouldn't stand there for I feel so sad when the beaches are dirty, when my environment is polluted with clothes. So I would take the initiative and do something. So with leather, what we do with leather, they keep coming, is that we make, since leather is non-functional here in Ghana, we convert it into make it functional by using it to tackle a problem. And one of the major problems that needs leather is biking, motorcycling. We have this commercial motorcycling that is used for transportation called Okada. If you've been to Africa, if you've been to West Africa, you should know about it. That, you know, there are people who have motorbikes. You pay, you sit behind, and it takes you to your location. And then it's an easy way of transportation. There's so much traffic in Africa, so you need. I use Okada, and on various conversations with these riders, I'm a very curious person. I always try to ask people, you know, questions about their profession, what they do, because I always want to learn. So in conversation with them, I look. I'm a very observant person. So I look at their skins and I see there's so many bruises, like from accidents and stuff. And this is as a result of not wearing the right protective clothing, you know, for this job. Now, to provide a biking gear in Ghana, it's expensive. These people migrate. Most of the bikers are from up north of Ghana. They migrated down to this capital for greener pastures, to make a living, to make money, because there's some level of poverty, or like there's some level of lack of finance up there, up north of Ghana. So they come just to seek, you know, greener pastures, to make money, and they end up finding themselves, most of them, in this business, which is creating a lot of jobs for the youth here, and it's creating a lot of jobs. So I saw that as an opportunity to use leather to tackle that problem, which is repurpose the leather jackets that come in as biking gears for these bikers. And I did few tests with them, and it worked. Like
amazing, right?
A lot of them are wearing, and we have over 15,000 of these people who use these bikes, of them here, and only in Accra there's more. There is some in other cities here, and Nigeria is big on this biking thing, also in other countries. So imagine imagine if we like with this initiative, we are providing, we're using this leather jackets that's still coming to the country, you know, because the government doesn't want to do anything about it. We still, you know, take them, repurpose them, and give them to these bikers. It will take a lot, you know, tons and tons of these leather jackets that will be thrown away in the landfills and stuff. We take them away. We will prevent them from being there, from being on the beaches, and then, you know, eventually our beaches will clean up. We will be cleaning up the beaches, and eventually have all the trash out of the beach. Then we can restore our beaches again. So yes, I'll be the happiest person for, you know, people's attitude to change in terms of consumption. Like we need to be responsible with consumption. And this doesn't only apply to clothing, it applies to everything. It applies to everything. So we just need to be responsible. And if you will see that ripple effect on Africa when people in the other continents, in Europe and America, are responsible. Definitely, it will reduce, and we can all, you know, and Ghana, for me, like Ghana would restore our beaches, and other the shores of Africa, the West African coast will be clean, and we'll all be happy. So when people come into the country, we will be happy to explore the beaches. We ourselves here in Ghana will enjoy our beaches, because yes, we have it here. We need to enjoy it. We cannot let, you know, our actions deprive us from enjoying a lot of things. That is not wrong. We caused this, so it's in our own mandate to solve the problem. And it's just a matter of changing our perception. Because fashion, the perception or the idea of the culture of fashion hasn't done us any good.
Absolutely.
Now hasn't done us any good. It's creating problems upon problems upon problems, and the problems keep increasing. So this is high time. It's not too late. If we had done that, if we had changed our perception earlier, it would have been good. But it's not too late to make
It's
things
not too
right.
late. It's not too late. And I think what I'm hearing from you is not, this goes even beyond design. You know, you're talking about the dignity of Africa and the dignity of Ghana. I'm wondering, if I may ask, how do you feel about this narrative of brand Africa, of Africa being addressed like a country, not as a continent? You know, Africa is the beautiful location for lots of photography, commercial shoots. There's talk of a Vogue Africa. I'm worried that the gap between the truth storytellers like you are displaced away from the commercial aspect. You know, people are talking about having more, again, it's more consumption, more, you know, do we need a Vogue Africa? Do we need, you know, what I want is to have people like you talking on sustainability panels. And yesterday I was in a conversation with the global fashion agenda. And I know that unfortunately, because of COVID, they say that they couldn't accommodate you. And I, with all transparency, I was very disappointed, because I said to them, I don't know Yara. I want to know Yara. I want to hear his story. And it's amazing to have the opportunity to meet you today. But brand Africa, that we need to release that and release our waiting to be heard, because you should not be at the tail end of the conversation. For me, you need to be in the core narrative of driving the sustainability conversation. So how do we stop this? How do we, you know, when we have our fellow Africans speaking on panels, again, they're pitching brand Africa, of the glamour, come to Africa. We have air conditioning, we have hotels, we have Uber. That's great. It's not rocket, it's not easy anymore. But how do we have more of you, of this side of the story being told to a global audience?
Before we enter this big question, I just wanted to say something which I think shouldn't go unnoticed. And it's something that I noticed a lot from Yaira's narrative, from the way that he talks about the story. And it's beautiful for me to hear, because I've heard it also from the other panelists and other speakers of this week. And what I see is that it's people that are not primarily interested in their profit. Because if we will be real, if Yara would be solely focused on profit for revival, for you the best thing would be for waste to keep coming to Ghana, and you keep producing and keep selling. So the fact that you're not thinking about solely profit, but you're thinking about how to create a better world for your community and for your people, but also on a global scale, because this overconsumption is not doing good to anyone. I think this is something that we should all notice, and we should see this change that we see in business owners and change makers like you. And I think that's something worth praise, and something worth really like stopping and saying, this is how we should lead our businesses. And I think
I think like something important to add to your argument, Sarah, why do we not see more African people on sustainability panels? Because to be honest, I don't think the world seriously understands sustainability to begin with. Right?
Absolutely. Like, I could come and hug you right now, but COVID doesn't allow that.
but I think, you know, it's just something really quickly to point out, just from my personal experience growing up in Africa, is also, you know, we have to overcome this psychological understanding of Africa as something that needs to be rescued all the time, right?
Absolutely.
We don't need aid, we need trade. We don't need to keep thinking about trying to rescue people there. We need to enable infrastructure. So for the work you do, Sarah, it's like keep shouting out about what Yara does. For the work we do, it's to actually ensure that when we do things like this, we're keeping a diverse range of people like Yara, like so many other, actually, I don't know, ask Anna, we've had quite a few speakers from Africa at this summit. So I think it's infutile to expect governments to do something, because they've proven time and time again they're not going to. Because like Anna so rightly said, if there's no profit motive, there's no desire for them to engage in it. So I think we, the people, should just take the stand and do, you know, the things that Yara does, that you do, Sarah, that Anna does. I think that's where the action happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so Sarah, just to answer your question, I think we need to own our own narrative as Africans.
Yes.
We need to just own our own narrative from start to end. And that is it. If till we own our own narrative, we will not be able to tell the African story properly. So owning our own, narrative. That is why, I'm working on an in-depth documentary that is going in-depth about this initiative, from the source from start to end. When I say end, I mean, this Revival creating a solution and how the solution, to what extent the solution is going realistically and practically. So yes, it's still we're still working on the documentary, and it's something that I'm very, very proud of. I'm very, keen on completing and putting out there for the world to see what really is going on, and to let people understand, the reality of this thing, of the issue of global fashion and global textile waste. So
I'm sorry to interrupt you guys. I just have to say we have still 10 more minutes, and we might have some questions from the audience.
Okay.
Nimisha?
Yes, so we have one which was submitted before the session began, which asked, Yara, what do you see is the larger social impact of the work you do? So not just, the immediate kind of stuff, but based on that immediate person benefiting, what else gets benefited along the chain?
Yeah, so one major thing is creating jobs, because we have a problem of there's an issue of unemployment. So creating a vast variety of jobs for the youth here, for everybody here, and this is something you could learn. This is not something that you need so much training or schooling to actually do. This is something you can be involved in any form, in any way or form. You can be in retail, you can be in production process, you can be in the sourcing process. So it's going to create jobs, and it's also going to impact people from from within, from the emotional perspective, that and Africans are tackling problems themselves, are taking the bull by the horn, and we are capable of handling our own, creating solutions to problems that come.
Yeah. And I would assume also from the jobs being created, you're also seeing benefits in their health, their well-being. They have access to be able to just gain services that they probably never could before. So actually you see that impact across so many other goals, and that's really important. We have go on.
And just to encourage and empower the youth here, to do things irrespective, to do things no matter what. So
yeah, no, I think that's my favorite part of what you do when you create jobs.
Absolutely. And for people also to feel invested in their local community, I think it's so important to be house proud. It's amazing. What you're doing it's lifting the morale of the community, and it's binding people together. And we're talking about textiles here. Literally, it's a weaving of culture and of values and of intention. And if profit comes with it, then amazing. But unless it's people focused, then that is not sustainable unless you care. And I think it's a shame for so many sustainability brands in the Western market not to see and feel the challenges that you go through, because there are so many lessons in what you're doing. I absolutely salute you.
And to finish,
the ultimate is changing perception, just changing perceptions, restructuring habits and culture. Because the rebel, it's a culture. That is the idea, is to make it into a culture.
To finish this conversation, which I think could go on for another 3 hours, I'm sure, One thing I would like to give you yet a quick chance. Do you want to show something of your products? Because we
Yes,
still
I
have a
just
few
want to
minutes.
show you briefly. Yes,
And the
just show you
second thing
briefly.
that I would like to ask you is, how can people get involved? How can they support Revival? What can we do to share the story?
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you for that. So I just want to show briefly some of the products that we've created from this initiative. This is the leather jacket. I don't know if you can see. So this is a leather jacket, and what we've done, the reason why this leather jacket came was that anywhere you see patches is because it's torn. So this is a leather jacket, leather patch, leather label from Allegiance, and then these are also, and this is a metal buckle. One thing is, these metal buckles come a lot here because the hooks are broken and stuff. So we use them to accessorize stuff. So it's not only with cotton, but also with metal and anything that has to do with fashion. We use it to in our creation process, and then we design. And behind, we have the Okada Boys. I told you about the Okada Boys, which is the one that we're using to address the bikers, using to create biking gears for the motorbikers here, commercial motorbikers. So behind you see Okada Boy. This we worked with a graffiti artist during one of our pop-up events, because that's one we do pop-up events to give people the opportunity to come and then create their things on their own. We let people come and we bring those waste things and then we create it. So these are some of the things. And this is also a shirt we made from waste bandanas, as you can see, from waste bandanas, which are like scarves, and we made a whole shirt from it. And this is a denim bag. We get so much denim, so like majority of the materials we get is denim and leather. So this is a bag made from the denim trousers we made, and this is how it is. Yes, with a handle and everything. So if you look at the handle, it's the waist of a jeans of jeans pants, denim pants, and we have here the bag. We made pockets because we want to make it functional. So there are pockets in there, and then we also, one of our design processes is to make things multi-purpose, because one of the reasons people throw things away is because they are tired of wearing them and they just don't like the design. So we want to make things multifunctional by, this is a bandana we use on the workwear. One of this is a workwear, and it had a lot of paintings and stuff here. So we use the bandana here, and then behind you see that it is detached. We make everything. We made it detachable. So behind here, this is a detachable part. So you can literally remove this part and use another part and detach it to another part. So you can buy detachable parts and make your own design. So if today you don't like this blue, you can pick a red one and just attach it to it, and now you have a blue and red, and you have a new design. So you can keep wearing it, and it's always fresh in your eye.
So what can we do to support this, to support your designer work? So
well, we're running a series of awareness campaigns. So we're through social media, and what we need, the support we need. One of them is to follow our page, share what we do, share our stories online. On Instagram, we are at therevival.earth, therevival.earth, and we also have a website where you can go and donate and support this cause, because this, in as much as we're doing this with our effort and everything, but it has the money bit. It's capital intensive because of transportation and a lot of logistics that comes with it. So our website has all the stuff we're doing. Most of our work, our pop-ups, our events. It also has a donate section where you can support this initiative. And yes, so just push, and also we want to have everybody. The goal is to have everybody listen to us and act on it. So we just need support, sharing, support in any way, shape, and form that you can reach out to us on our email. Our email is info@therevival.earth. And then when you go to our website is www.therevival.earth. You have all information there. If you want to contact us, you have all the information there. So yes, that's
Thank you everyone for listening in. Thank you Yara so much. Thank you Namisha and Sarah for the great questions. And I really invite you all to follow the Revival Earth, but also to take the message that Yara sent and that we heard from so many panelists this week, to think about how you consume, to think about how do you buy things, what kind of products do you buy, do you need actually what you're buying, and to just be more responsible to your fellow humans and this planet. And thank you so much for this conversation.
Thanks as well. Thanks everybody, and let's be responsible with our consumption.
Thank you, Yara. Thank you.
Thank you. Lovely talking to you all.
Wish you all a beautiful day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.